We are with three of the guys from the New York Boulders. The New York Boulders, you were the Rockland Boulders before. What happened there, Seth?
So first and foremost, thank you for having us. We definitely appreciate it, Dave. So the team's home is in Rockland County, which is about 45 minutes north of New York City. And about 60% of our fans come from Rockland County. But, you know, we have fans from a number of different areas in suburban New York City, aside from Rockland County, Westchester County, Orange County, Bergen County, and northern New Jersey. There are a million people that live within 30 miles of Palisades Credit Union Park, which is a beautiful park. It's a $70 million stadium. So I suggest, if you can make it out there, it's definitely worth the trip.
I will.
But we want it to be inclusive of the fans that not only come from Rockland County, but come from every region, within 30 to 45 minutes of the ballpark. So it was a change that we made. We also wanted to show our corporate sponsors that we were making changes for the better, and we were doing different things to engage with fan base. So, the rebrand has been successful so far, and it's also helped me as the Vice President of Business Development. It's also helped me go out and get new sponsors as well. So the change has been very well received.
And that really makes a difference?
I think it does. The team's been around for 9-10 years. This was a change we were going to make going into the 2020 season. We didn't play a regular baseball season in 2020. We had a recreational league season where we capped attendance at about 500 fans per game, and the players weren't paid. But, I think in my position, it's important to have talking points and conversation points when I go out and I meet with our 75 corporate partners every year and say, this is what we're doing at the ballpark. This is what's different. We have the Major League Baseball partnership, which I know TJ and Kevin will probably get into. But you always want positive things to tell corporate partners. And the change to New York has definitely been a positive, and it's definitely given me some good conversation points to go out and communicate with people that spend their hard-earned money as business owners with the team.
Nice. So talking right now is Seth Cantor. You're also the play-by-play announcer on the radio, and you're making that kind of a good promotion where people can pay, and you teach them how to do the play-by-play and have this experience with you, like calling an inning. Is that it?
Yeah. So, I've always said that if I ever got into a position like this, Dave, I'd want to find a way to give back to young people, because those opportunities weren't always there for me. There's a lot of rejection in broadcasting. There's a lot of rejection in sales. And I've always said that if I got into a position where I could give back to youngsters who want to learn how to be broadcasters, I would do it. So we're starting out with a broadcasting camp this summer at Palisades Credit Union Park. And we're going to have broadcasters not only from the Boulders. We have a couple of good broadcasters, including a friend of mine by the name of Mark Day, who is a sports anchor on the legendary news station 1010 Wins. But we're also going to have different sports personalities work with children 12 and up who want to become broadcasters, and they'll be able to call an inning or two for one of our camp day games, one of the games that starts at 11 o'clock in the morning, so they get live broadcasting experience. And we also do a junior broadcaster competition every year where kids can enter. They can tell us why they want to be a broadcaster, and the winner gets to call a couple of innings of the Boulders game. So, we're a community-minded organization, and to do things like this is important to us. We really want to engage, the children and families in our community, and this is one way where we do it.
Nice. Thanks for doing that. And later, because I want to talk to the other guys later, I want to talk to you about the life on the road for a play-by-play announcer, because I read the book by Terry Bonadonna. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I love every page of it. TJ, you're the manager of the New York Boulders. You're the new manager, the fourth manager of the New York Boulders, because they were established in 2011. I mean, how did it come about did you make the first overture, or did they come and grab you and we want you?
Yeah, as soon as my contract expired with Les Aigles de Trois-Rivières, I kind of just made it known that my contract was up and that I was interested in knowing what was going on with other orgs and their situation. And then, I had no real intention of leaving Trois-Rivières, but when the phone rang and Sean was on the other line, that's in independent baseball. You take that call, and I was very, very excited to talk to Sean about the possibility of it, and it just kind of rolled on from there.
Nice. And we also have Kevin Tuve. Do we say that Tuve? Is that it?
Oh, you made it sound really good in French, I will say. But
okay. Well, so what's the sound in English?
It's really just Tuve. I wish I could say it was Tuve and put a little. They do put accent marks on it a lot, even though it really doesn't need one. It's actually a German last name, but it sounds great French. I've been French for a long time in people's eyes.
You have to come by Quebec, man.
Yes, I mean, yes, I definitely need to do that.
Kevin, you are the head scout for the New York Boulders, and what is your day-to-day job? I mean, or responsibility? I mean, do you work every day for the Boulders because you are also a history teacher? So, I mean, how does it work?
Well, you know, in the off season right now, while we're all in different places, especially after COVID, you know, chapters is still going on here. I try to, you know, do anything I can to let, you know, TJ and his staff see as many players as I can in future workout situations. You know, if I come across something that could help them now, I will let, you know, TJ and his staff know about it. But definitely responsibilities will pick up when the season starts. And I'll be available to help TJ in any way I possibly can. You know, especially if you know, whatever he will need me to do, I'll be there to do. And that could be crazy one day and nothing for 2 weeks. You just don't know. You know, I'll be around the club as much as TJ can stand me. And I will, you know, I be around the batting cage a little bit and be around and see, you know, what happens from there. But, you know, definitely the basics are making sure that, you know, I'm aware of who's around if we need players, and if something's going on and TJ needs something, then that's my number one, you know, goal on that day. So it wavers depending on how we're doing during the season and what month it is too, you know.
Okay. In my immersion in the Frontier League, I've come to learn that not every organization works the same. So when you go and grab a player or just scout a player, you seem to have a structure where you all talk together, and it's not really all about the relations in the industry that TJ has. So it seems to be more of a maybe teamwork. Am I crazy here?
No.
That's it.
Well,
So
I'm crazy, but
before Tuve answers, I just want to jump in. Most managers in independent baseball are working nonstop on recruiting players, looking players up, etc. And then, but at the same time, like I just took over a job where I'm not there. I don't even live in the same country currently. So Tuve contacts me because he's got his feet on the ground. He knows agents in the area that represent players in the area. And because of Kevin, we signed 2 of our outfielders directly through his relation. He contacted me, the agent contacted him, bing, bing, 1, 2, 3, bango, bango, bongo, and it all happened like that. It can happen organically like that, and then it can happen out of nowhere where my brother is a college coach in Oklahoma and he's got this kind of contact, and this scout told him about this guy, and I'm looking out. It can happen 10 different ways. Every day it's different.
I couldn't have said that any better, Tay. I mean, that's, you
wow,
know,
thank you. I appreciate it.
It's unpredictable, you know, and you just made such a good point with that, with, you know, somebody's brother, cousin, and so, you know, and that's how it comes about. And, you know, I'm looking forward to learning, you know, more of TJ's style and what he does. You know, I was only able to see him, you know, aside from, you know, after hours, you know, having an appetizer somewhere. I was only able to really see him. Yes. Across the dugout, you know, and I always, you know, and we for years had such respect for how TJ did things and how he ran. I mean, you know, Jamie Keefe, our old manager, was always, you know, talking about TJ with utmost respect of how he did things. And like, he has a very uncanny knack of analyzing players. And so to me, it's exciting for me to learn, you know, a different style. Like you said, every manager and every organization has a little bit of a different, you know, knack for doing things. So I've really enjoyed just in the beginning from afar getting to see how TJ operates and what he, you know, what he does to be successful, you know.
Interesting. Just before we started the official discussion, we were talking about the fact that because of the new player eligibility rules in the Frontier League, you only can carry 3 veterans. And I want to know, Seth, it's very important for an independent baseball team to create links to the community and be sure that the players are involved and talk to talk to the fans. Is it more difficult for you to sell this product because there's going to be a biggest turnover in the players?
You know, I think one of the things that we're always focused on, and I'll defer to TJ because I think TJ can answer that question very well, but we've always been very fortunate where we've had managers who understand what the team means to the community. And while we're there, we certainly do our best to market our players, whether it's video features on social media, whether it's a get to know you segment on Facebook or on Twitter, whether it's going out into the community. You know, our players make a lot of appearances in a non-COVID world. Our players go out into the community. You know, we engage with the school kids. You know, we go to local charitable organizations. You know, they'll sign autographs, you name it. They understand that that's part of the job, but that's never been forced. It always starts with the manager. You know, Dave LaPointe, who was our first manager, understood that. Jamie Keefe, who Kevin mentioned, and you know, I know TJ's had a great mind for that over the course of his career. So it's just something in my mind that's part of the job. But TJ, I'll kind of let you dive into that a little bit because I know that's definitely something that you focus on as well.
That's it. When building a roster, I'm not going to let someone's area code dictate if we make a move on that player or don't make a move on that player at all. But at the same time, if a player fits exactly what we're looking for, and that player happens to be from the tri-state area and played Division I baseball in a very, very big market in that tri-state area, and then got drafted and played for a team that is in that division, etc. Like, of course, like he's very, very, very tied into the fabric that we're selling. You know, a majority of our players are from the tri-state area, and I wanted to embrace this because I know what it's like to not have that, because I managing for years and coaching for years in Quebec and Trois-Rivières, it can be very, very difficult to have many local players. Now, when Quebec had a run where they had just a great influx of many Quebecois, this was it was like hitting gold in the cave, because these Quebecois were very talented and we're not getting calls from any other managers or any other teams, and they were coming to us for, you know, a bit of a home team discount, etc. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, their name ended in, you know, something that me and Seth and Tuve can't pronounce. It was perfect. Now, just then going to the Boulders, where it's the opposite. We're in an area where there's, like, Tuve, I don't know how many universities play baseball within a 3-hour drive. It's remarkable. So yeah, just having this treasure trove of talent around the area, it's an advantage. So it's not a burden, it's an advantage. So I was very big on cashing in on that advantage.
Nice. I was going over the 2019 roster when you were in the Canada League, and then I was going over the current roster, and there's a huge turnover. Was that on purpose because you knew that the talent was going to be there, or was it just by design and I'm not getting it?
Yeah, this past year, once COVID hit and baseball shut down, minor league baseball went out of business. Major League Baseball took over their operations. And as soon as they did that, they basically released about 30% of the players. And once they did that, there was 3,000 free agents. overnight. May 28th, 29th, there was 3,000 free agents. And so I sat on my hands until the ink dried on the Boulders contract, and I went after all these free agents. It's not anything against the players that were on the 19 team. It's just the nature of independent baseball is very, very cyclical, and it's on to the next often, and especially when you take over a team, and of those 3,000, 500 are from, within an hour drive.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to get on the phones.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically what happened.
What are you guys excited about? I mean, if there's one area of your roster that you're very excited about, what would it be?
I'll let the other guys.
Sure.
Answer, because that will prove if they've listened to my emails.
I'll jump in really quick. The versatility that we'll say that was in TJ talked about in one of his emails. The versatility on this roster, I think now is totally different than we've had here in quite some time. Not just the talent, of course, but the idea that I think we see a manager now that's already has a good sketch in his head of where he wants guys and where guys could fit in and where other guys are interchangeable. We were due for that, and we haven't had that in a little while. So that is one of the things that, I've seen already. And like TJ said, we're in different countries, but I've seen that already on paper, that it's an exciting thing to go into camp with a plan. And that's something that we always were successful when we did. And so I'm definitely looking, and TJ's success, north of the border proves that, that he, no matter what his talent pool is, resource pool, whatever it is, wherever he is, he has a plan that, and he always did. I mean, he always did since I met him when he was with Quebec. So I'm very excited about that. And I'll let Seth jump in.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say it much better than TJ and Kevin, obviously, but what impresses me is that TJ's been very aggressive. I mean, we've been lucky. We've had very good managers here in Rockland, but what's really impressed me about TJ right out of the gate, he's been very aggressive in going out and finding the right players, not only for the dynamic that he wants in the clubhouse, but the ballpark as well. It's definitely a unique ballpark. But what impresses me about the roster that he's been able to put together so far, the athleticism looks very impressive. The depth looks very impressive, and the experience level is very striking too. So even though you have a new manager and there might be a learning curve or a curve where the team has to adjust to the ballpark or playing together, I think this team, what I'm excited to see is the fact that this team might come out strong. In my mind, will come out strong right out of the gate.
I'm interested about the ballpark. What makes it a different place to play in? Look at the TJ's face.
Yeah, okay, I'll take that one, because I was in the other dugout. I was in the visitors dugout for the last 10 years now, coaching against the Boulders. And the thing that, okay, so for example, in Trois-Rivières, we have a very small ballpark. But the idea with Trois-Rivières is the wind is a big factor. All you have to do is get the ball in the air. Focus on getting the ball in the air. That's a very, very big factor in Trois-Rivières. Avoid the ball in the air if you're a pitcher, and put the ball in the air when you're a hitter. Get on base, hit home runs, 3-run home runs all the time. That's all we're focused on. But with the Boulders, it's kind of like the Palisades Credit Union Park is kind of fool's gold, because it has a very short porch and right, and the ball carries very well to left field. So you think like, okay, all you need to do is just load up on home run hitters and let's go. It's just fool's gold, because what you don't realize is that it has the Grand Canyon in center field. So there's this weird dynamic of a ball that Montville hits off of his top hand goes for a home run in right field, but a ball that your guy scorches to center field is an out. It's out number 2, on to the next. So there is a real dependence on being able to shoot the gaps hit home runs because home runs happen there, but shoot the gaps, use speed, and you have to defend that field because the gaps are enormous. We have, I challenge any team in the Frontier to come up with a faster outfield than we have. I have center fielders playing everywhere. We have 4 outfielders. All 4 can play center field. All 4 can run. And our center field, we'll see who plays center field, but we have burners out there. There's a lot of gaps to cover. We don't know if we're going to lead the league in home runs. We don't know how that's going to work out, but we expect to lead in extra base hits, however they fold out, and runs. We expect to lead in runs.
I think I have a good question because TJ, I don't know if you remember when I had the Édition Baseball in Quebec, which was a French media for baseball, of course. We did an interview, and you're really into statistics. And Kevin, from what I gathered in the questions that I sent, the written questions that I sent that we won't be using because this interview is way better, I think you're more old school. So how do you, how do you work together to just make it happen?
Well, I'll jump in real quick. It's funny that when TJ was talking about the Grand Canyon with the big wall out there, my God, that is something that many teams, as TJ just pointed out, are not prepared for. And you don't see, not that I've been to every Frontier League park, but the ones that I've seen or been to, Washington, PA, and even in our area, there's nothing that compares to that expanse. So I think there's a little bit of, old school definitely in me, but TJ has it. TJ has it too. He has a little bit of everything. He's got that, but he's got some new age stuff too. He's able to put, I've seen him do it with the teams he's put together. He just had these guys that were really good at doing whatever position he put them in. Even if it was a pitcher, he would have guys that were good at doing certain things, and he had an uncanny knack for that. We always noticed that, and that was something I remember talking to Jamie Keefe over the years about, where they knew their roles on that Three Rivers team, and they always did when they won the championship and that was something that was very much, you can appreciate that as a baseball guy in any realm. And I know Seth saw it, I saw it, and so that's an exciting thing. As we see a little feline there. I love as a baseball guy that's you don't see that a lot, because as TJ mentioned about the home runs, that's what you see. A lot of these teams just start stacking them up, creating almost like an Atlantic League type thing, and it doesn't stay together for the whole year. You've got to have those guys that have the roles, the hit and run and everything. You have to have it here in indie ball.
It's the first thing. After 2018, that was the biggest adjustment that I made, because we scored enough runs, we did enough on offense, and we did enough pitching. But as soon as, like you'll see with the Yankees, like Stanton and Judge are hitting home runs right now, but then there'll be like a 3-week stretch where neither can touch the ball.
Yeah.
What can the Yankees do to make sure they continue to score runs? Because in 18, we ran out of runs at the last 2-3 weeks of the season. We ran out of runs. We were playing 1-run games again. And we weren't built for 1-run games. In 19, I made the adjustment. We started winning 1-run games, but you have to be flexible. You have to be multifaceted, especially in a park like that, because speed plays, power plays, defense plays, everything plays. It's just what are you going to use?
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Dave, if I could just chime in very quickly.
Course,
the first time, what's always impressed me about TJ, I'm going to take a trip down memory lane here, but what's always impressed me about TJ is the fact that he makes the best of the resources that he's given. Back, I would say, probably about 7-8 years ago, maybe the first time I met TJ was when he was the manager of the Garden State Grays. It was the Grays, right, TJ?
Yeah, that's right.
And TJ was offered an opportunity to manage the road team in the Can-Am League. And TJ came in and gave that team instant credibility. And it was very impressive with what he was able to do with that club. And they played very hard for him. I've always been impressed with TJ and his ability to make the most of what he's given. But, as part of that, the first time I actually met TJ face to face, I had bags of laundry that had to get done at the ballpark, and I had to bring him over to the Super 8 motel. And that's the first time I was impressed with I met TJ, and I've always been impressed with him ever since.
Nice. Kevin, you talked about the Atlantic League, and you gave me permission to talk about this in the chat. I want to ask the question to Seth. There was discussion since 2011 to join for the Boulders to join the Atlantic League. What happened there? I mean, was the door closed on the Atlantic side or your side for some reason?
Yeah, I just think it's a matter of being in the right place at the right time. Those conversations were definitely there. You have a number of independent teams in the area, and the owners certainly know each other. So, I think what ended up happening was, the conversations weren't there with the Atlantic League, but I have to tell you, the conversations with the Frontier League really picked up when Sean Riley, who's the owner or one of the owners and the president of the team, he had the idea to have the Can-Am League Frontier League All-Star game at Palisades Credit Union Park a few years back and bring all the teams and all the owners and all the personnel together. And it was really a great couple of days. And I think rather, Dave, than the Atlantic League conversations falling off, I think a lot of momentum at the right time, came to be for the Frontier League. And, once you got all the owners into the room and realized, there are teams, you have 16 teams in the Frontier League. And the biggest strength of this league, in my mind, is the geography. You have teams from, the St. Lawrence Seaway up in Canada, all the way out to the Midwest, in Chicago, that area. And you have teams that, play in, let's say, the Pittsburgh market, the New York City market. You have teams that play in Chicago, St. Louis, Cincinnati. And you have 16 teams with all those strong markets. And to me, now you have the largest league, you have all those big markets and, the oldest independent league in the country. So why wouldn't you have an opportunity like that? So I just think it was more the momentum of the Frontier League as opposed to conversations with the Atlantic League falling off.
I mean, on my hand, I'm very happy that that the discussions fell off, because I really like what the Frontier League is doing, even though some of their rules are not really my cup of tea. But I think we'll have to deal with it and live with it. But in a way, and that goes to my next question. It's for TJ. I mean, we have to make you talk a little. You'll be asked to coach younger guys, and will you rely more on the veterans to help you, or how do you see this challenge? Because if they're younger, is it more difficult to coach them?
Well, it's more difficult for me to coach them, but I more or less because I'm used to dealing with older players. That's the only reason why. I'm going to lean on a few veteran type players a lot. It's 100% true, because on staff, on the field, it's just me and Cole Zimmerman, my hitting coach. It's just the two of us. We run the whole thing. And so we're going to use veteran players often. We have our only vet on roster right now is Tucker Nathans. Tucker Nathans is a veteran of, affiliated ball and independent baseball. I had him in Trois-Rivières, and he's from New York. And he has, every stop that he's been at, he's been kind of the team captain. Not officially, of course, and it's just every player kind of, like, if they're kind of not sure if they're doing the right thing, it's a easy barometer. Just look over at Tuck, see what he's doing. Whatever he's doing, try and mimic it. It's very simple, and we'll have that on the pitching side too.
So sorry.
Oh no. So I'll lean on those guys quite a bit, but for actual in-game type stuff, I don't think it's going to change the baseball side of it that much. It's more of just like on bus rides, when I want to put on a movie, they're going to want to put on something that I don't want to watch. That's basically what it comes down to.
And you're talking about bus ride. I mean, the Frontier League has such a big, a huge footprint, like from the Midwest to the Atlantic Ocean. I mean, it's insane. I mean, how do you see it as a team? Do you see it as something that you can, I don't know, build team spirit in the bus, or do you see it as a challenge and you have to keep the guys grinding and grinding day after day?
Oh yeah, it's 100% an opportunity to build team camaraderie, 100%. And if it wears on any player at any time, it's very easy to Google the Southern League, or now they've changed all the names of the leagues, but the old Texas League and the old Southern League, those travel routes. It's real easy to Google and see how Springfield has to play at Corpus Christi and all over the place. If you want to play AA, AAA type, AAA flies, but I kept it at AA. If you want to play AA baseball, you got to be on the bus for 18 hours. We're on the bus for 7 hours. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
So it's more of just an opportunity to build camaraderie, that sort of thing.
I was talking with Charles Demers, the GM of the Quebec City Capitals, and they have the longest trip. One of their trip is coming back from Gateway is 23 hours. So he said to me, everything that's over 10-hour bus ride will do by plane. Do you have set this kind of logistic problem where you have to deal with this?
No, our schedule, we don't have anything like that. We're in another, like, not saying that we have everything perfectly, but we're very centrally located in our division, and we have easy bus trips everywhere. We're good to go. This was another, like, when I'm talking to a free agent, he's talking like perhaps to another team, I can mention that we're not in the bus more than 9 hours anytime this summer. You know, we're very fortunate.
And at the ballpark, Seth, I mean, how will you deal with the COVID restrictions right now? What is the capacity that you can reach for the attendance?
Oh, sure. No, I think that's a great question. So we have a blueprint, Dave. We did this last year. You know, we had a decision to make, and our decision was, okay, we're not going to have a Frontier League season. You know, do we play or do we just wait until next year? And we decided to play. And what we did was we reclassified Palisades Credit Union Park as an arts and entertainment venue. We submitted an application to New York State. We capped capacity at 500 fans per game. Now, there were nights where we probably didn't have more than 100 or 125. And we decided that it was important for us to stay relevant in the community. You know, Sean Riley, I thought, put it great. He said, we feel as if we have a social contract with the community. We have a responsibility to the community to give them something to do and to give them a positive activity. So in terms of what we did last year, and I think you're going to see much the same this year to start, you know, fans on the concourse, they had to wear masks, obviously, and that's definitely going to be a thing as we open the ballpark this year. We have rows that are roped off. We have stickers on seats. We're encouraging social distancing, obviously cashless transactions at the ballpark. We're trying to move away from cash transactions, but it's a big ballpark. I mean, you know, it seats about 6,300. We have a 360-degree wraparound concourse. Now, right now, the state of New York is allowing venues like ours, Dave, to open at 20%. And we're going to open, whether it's at 20% or, you know, we're hopeful. It's tough to be profitable at 20%. You know, we'll find a way to do it. We want to have as many events in the ballpark with the town of Ramapo, who owns the stadium. We want to have as many events and, you know, give the community a constructive activity as often as we can. But, you know, we'd like to be closer to 50%. You know, to start, but we feel like at 50%, even if it's 3,000 fans per game, you know, there's enough room in the ballpark for people to come there and be safe and socially distanced. We sanitize the ballpark frequently. We have a cleaning crew that shuts down the bathrooms. I know I'm getting really granular here, but, you know, we feel we have a big enough ballpark to make it a fun, safe, and, you know, socially distanced activity that people can enjoy.
Nice. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that if you want to cut expenses, I mean, TJ and Kevin can just forego their salaries. I mean, they're millionaires. You're not saying anything, TJ. Come on.
Yeah, I put my contract's all incentive based.
I love it. And by the way, by while I was doing my research, I saw said that you're the I think that's the first time I saw this for a description for a ballpark where you put the hours when the sun sets and there are going to be shadows. I mean, that's great. That's great. I mean, I want to know that. I mean, I was just never able.
Yeah,
to
Mao see.
see.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
love it. I saw it too.
I mean, TJ could tell you, Dave. I mean, it's a very, if you're in right field or if you're at first base for a game that starts at 7 o'clock, that is a very tough field to play. You have the sun setting along the third base side, right along the line of the roof out towards the mountains. I know TJ could elaborate more, and Kevin's seen it too, but you know, you see those fielders, they find ways to cope and deal with it, but it is a very tough field to play at that hour of the night.
Kevin?
You're a first baseman and you are trying to hold a runner on, and the pitcher's looking, you know, how many times have we seen that where, you know, it ends up in the first row? I mean, the first baseman has no shot to see that pitcher make that move and try to pick somebody off at first base or check a runner back. I mean, to go along with what's being said, I mean, right field is brutal at the beginning, you know, at that time. That's a great point. Something I haven't thought about, and that is, yeah, no question.
Wow. We are reaching the 40-minute mark. I have a few more questions, and I'm having a lot of fun. Can we go ahead?
Sure.
There you go. There is a draft. Can you please help me out? I mean, the draft is going to be it's going to be for the people who are at the tryouts. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. The Frontier League has a massive tryout before every season, and they hold a draft afterwards, and all the clubs managers are represented and that sort of thing. And this year it takes place May 10th, 11th, if I'm not mistaken.
Makes sense.
I think it's 10th and 11th.
And on your end, because the pool of talent is so great right now, will the tryout have less importance?
I wouldn't say less importance at all. No, it's more of like every team will be going in very specific.
Okay.
Because every team's rosters are pretty nearly complete. So every team will arrive there with a very specific position or specific sort of player in mind. Whereas I think in years past, they would go in and they're like, hey, we need to, I mean, infielder, outfielder, you know, anybody that has speed and can catch the goddamn ball, we're good to go. But I think this year it'll be way more specific. So there might be a pitcher that shows up throwing absolute fire and having a resume, but he's not picked up the first 5 picks because everybody's like, no, we need a catcher. We need a catcher. We need the best catcher. Boom, they catcher, and then another's looking for a middle infielder and that sort of thing.
Okay. Technology is taking a lot of place right now in baseball. I mean, yeah, pretty much everybody's talking about this. How do the Boulders approach it? Do you have facilities in the stadium where they have the radars, the Rapsodo, Trackman?
As it stands right now with the MLB partnership, we don't have in place a StatCast, Trackman, all that. That is, it might be phase 2 of having Trackman devices in every stadium, or in, say, a New York stadium that's 45 minutes away from MLB headquarters. Like, I think that's probably next year. But we actually are in a good spot because we have about 4 indoor facilities within an hour that have, you know, Rapsodo, Trackman, etc., available to us. So I'm already trying to figure out and get everything together. So you know, even a couple of these buildings are owned by former Boulders. So we're trying to figure out, maybe we can work a deal out where we can get players in, every month to track their progress. That way, nonstop MLB scouts can have up-to-date Rapsodo information, Trackman data, etc. We're working on that. It's the next step. It has to happen, and it will happen. It's just kind of one of those things that it doesn't come out of my pocket, so it's easy for me to say it's the next step, but it is the next step. It's going to happen.
You mentioned the Friend to the League being a partner of MLB, and I had a chat with Kevin on Twitter, I think a week ago. We were talking about his past as a Mariner scout, and then he went back to independent baseball. Why am I thinking that in a way they just want to grab everything? I mean, I'm talking about MLB. Do you fear that independent baseball could lose its soul? And I don't want to be, I want it to be too dark, but I mean, is there a chance that they could just have their say in everything?
Yeah, of course, but more than likely not in any of the big three leagues, the Frontier, American Association, and Atlantic. In the Pioneer League, the new independent league, they're going to have full free reign. They've already dictated that the age limit is 24 years old, etc. Like they're going to be very, very involved. Mm-hmm. But for us, the MLB, we welcome MLB. We want MLB presence. It legitimizes everything that we're doing, and we want them to sign as many players as possible. That's not the attitude with every independent team. That's the attitude with our team. Mm-hmm. Sean made it very, very clear to me from day one, and I couldn't be more on the same page. But the bigger factor is that we have to get when Major League Baseball cut off, released 1/3 of their players, and then released about 1/3 of their orgs, minor league teams. They then put the draft at 20 rounds. So to supplement their whole minor league system, they're gonna need independent baseball. Mm-hmm. That's where this partnership with independent baseball really comes into play. It's not MLB being heavy-handed. It's more of MLB needing us, and we're being very accepting of that. And we want to have a back and forth. We want access to information and statistics and that sort of thing. And MLB wants access to players, which we have. We have an abundance of players. So it's a great partnership that wise, how it can work in the future. We're in no way worried about it being too heavy-handed. I think it's only positive for us going forward.
You want to add something, Kevin?
There's not much to add. I mean, TJ really says it really well. I think it's kind of an exciting thing. I spent some time checking out the Atlantic League Trackman and in Somerset and in Long Island two years ago when Boulders were off, and or away, I should say, up in Canada or wherever. And I learned a lot about it, and it was interesting because I had never seen Trackman in use. I had never seen, and so to go along with what TJ's saying, I think it is a very exciting thing, and it's great for our league. It definitely helps us bringing in a higher quality player. As TJ said, now we have players playing in this league this coming year that years ago would be playing maybe American Association or the Can-Am. So I think it only enhances what already is a wonderful league. I mean, this league does things right and has for so many years. I think now all the more it's going to even legitimize things, with that MLB logo on alone is definitely something special going into 2021, no doubt. I agree.
Yeah, Dave, what I want to say to that too, from a business standpoint, because I'm the broadcaster, but I also handle business development and corporate sponsorships for the team. From a business standpoint, just to be able to have that logo in the proposals that I give to local, regional, and national businesses, has been a big asset. And it's been a very tough go from a business development and sponsorship standpoint because of COVID. What I do is based on attendance and people being in the seats. And right now I don't really have that from last year. I will have that after this year, but obviously the expectations are still for me to help generate revenue for the team. So to be able to have that conversation with people where they might not want to advertise this year, but we have a new manager who's been very aggressive in going out getting players. We're in a 16-team league, which is the largest independent league in the country, and now we have this Major League Baseball partnership. From a sponsorship standpoint, not only has it been great, from a player standpoint in TJ, but from a sponsorship standpoint, it's definitely helped me in my conversations, and it's been a tremendous asset.
Nice. And you just announced, well, maybe 2 weeks ago, that Team Israel will be there on July 12th. How did it come about, Seth?
So that was a conversation that Sean Riley started. The gentleman's name is Eric Holtz. He's actually the manager of the Israeli national baseball team, and he has local roots over in Westchester County. And we play in a very, I want to say this in the right way, we play in a very Jewish community. We have a lot of fans that come from heavily Jewish areas, and they support the team. They're great fans. They're loyal. And given the fact that we play in a Jewish community, and we've had this connection with Eric Holtz, who's also helped Kevin Tuve out with the tryouts too, to us, it just seemed to make sense. And, this is a conversation that's been going on for a while. They were supposed to play here last year. And what they're doing is they're playing games throughout the Northeast. It's almost as if, Dave, that they're barnstorming and they're stopping over at Palisades Credit Union Park. They're going to play the Boulders in an exhibition game on July 12th. But it's about relationships more than anything else. And Eric Holtz is also a spokesperson for one of our bigger corporate sponsors as well. So there are a lot of connections there, and there are a lot of roots there. And given where we play in that relationship, it just seemed to make sense, and we're very excited about it.
And for you, Kevin, I mean, is it like I mean, you're lucky because you have the opportunity to meet people that you would not usually meet.
Absolutely.
I think
I've said that. I agree. I mean, I say that since day one. That Brian Dahlback was the first guy I met that, that I really pinched myself in the beginning and said, what am I really doing here? And then it changed. I kind of really learned my role and what I could do, and that there was a lot more that I could do than I knew about. But I mean, I've met a ton of people. Two people on here, maybe really three. All three of you gentlemen I would not have met. I mean, this is a whole different part of life that for me has been outstanding in so many different ways. And I remember seeing Seth, when I was with Pittsfield, and in those days, I kind of, TJ will remember this, it's like we kind of had to cover up Captain Colonial when we went anywhere, because we really were, the league was subsidizing us in so many different ways, and it was wild. I mean, we and TJ will tell you some stories about the old hotels in Pittsfield when they went up there with Quebec, trying to find a place where they were allowed to enter because of us, and it was amazing. I learned so many things, and on the fly in Pittsfield and Rockland. I mean, it's been an unbelievable experience along the way. So I agree with you, and not to carry on, but I agree with what you're saying. I'm very fortunate to have met so many different people that I never would have. Absolutely.
Nice. My last question, maybe for each of you, just to finish, what would be on your wish list until May 27, which is opening day? What part of the club do you want to see, maybe just an improvement, or what kind of play do you want to develop this year because of the competition? I don't know. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Who wants to go first?
TJ.
All right. Well, I know that Michel Leplan is down in Florida right now.
Yeah.
I hope to God, I pray that Justin Trudeau and Lego can get off their ass and let us play baseball.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I hope that they'll let us play baseball, and if the fans want to come, it's their decision. So that's my biggest hope. And there's 3 orgs in Canada that are being held hostage by their own government right now. I mean, the Blue Jays are playing in Florida, and the Raptors are in Dunedin. I mean, they're in Tampa. Like, let's figure this out. That would be my biggest hurdle.
I appreciate that, by the way. Seth.
I would say for me, I mean, I just want to see the business development aspect of what we do succeed. I think a lot of what we do is tied into corporate sponsorships and support from the business community. And it's been a very tough go over the course of the last year or so. It's very tough to sell corporate sponsorships when you don't have fans in the stands. But, I'm noticing now as the vaccinations become more widespread and people are going out again, I'm noticing that support. We've been very lucky. We've had a lot of support from the community, the business community in Rocklandburg and Westchester, the lower Hudson Valley and northern New Jersey. So I'd like to see just continued engagement with the business community. And, they've been very loyal to us, and anything we can do to engage them and to help drive traffic to their stores, their restaurants, their places of business. The Boulders are definitely a great means to do that. So I just want to help the businesses in the area succeed. And I think the Boulders can definitely, be a part of that.
Well said, my friend. And you, Kevin Tuve.
2 really tough acts to follow, by the way, there. It's tough. It's tough. I second both of what these gentlemen have said here just now. And, definitely, yes, to see the Canadian teams back and back in action and to get our rivalry with Quebec back again and everything like that we started to put together. To second what Seth said, of course, business-wise, and get, I would just say definitely to try to return baseball and everything the way it was as best we can. From that 20%, hopefully we can raise that with the vaccines going out, and we can get, a ton more fans back at used to be Provident, at our ballpark again, and get everybody back there and see the Boulders have successful tryouts coming up. I'll plug that a little bit with some tryouts coming up on May 9th and May 21st and 22nd. And hopefully we're there in the end in the fall.
But with 2 veteran roster spots still available, I mean, what are you working on? Because I'm pretty sure you have a plan in place. Are you looking at maybe starting pitchers?
No, I'm not looking at arms at all. I'm looking at using 1 more vet spot on Team Israeli's one of their best players. I'll keep it at that.
Wow, guys, it was a blast. I mean, thank you so much for your time. Almost an hour talking to me from Quebec City. I appreciate that a lot, and I hope we can keep that line of communication open during the season and just keep in touch.